Indian Lake. It's 8 o'clock.
Good morning. This is Northern Light for Tuesday, September 5th. I'm Monica Sandreski.
And I'm Todd Moe.
Starting this fall, North Country seniors who are 60 and older can get the new RSV vaccine. Kitty President John Marafa talks safety, side effects, and how to get the shot.
With regards to all vaccines, every time a vaccine kind of comes to the new healthcare space, the FDA is responsible for examining all the data. They're required to look at the safety and efficacy of each vaccine.
Also, we talk with Joshua Vink, the new director at Traditional Arts in upstate New York. He's ready to lead the arts and culture organization on the solid foundation built by his predecessors.
How do modern folks from diverse backgrounds connect with traditional ideas and make new things? Is that traditional art? I think it is, because I think the root of who we are and what we identify with comes from our past.
And there's a new carved portrait in the New York State Capitol in Albany. Governor Kathy Hochul unveiled the stone bust of late Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. All of that and more is coming up on Northern Light. Stick with us.
Broadcast of Northern Light here on North Country Public Radio is supported by Long Run Wealth, an SEC-registered investment advisor in Lake Placid, providing comprehensive wealth management, retirement, and financial planning solutions. LongRunWealth.com, and Adirondack Land Trust, working with communities to protect trails and open spaces for the benefit of all. AdirondackLandTrust.org.
This is Northern Light. I'm Monica Sandreski.
And I'm Todd Moe. Starting this fall, North Country seniors who are 60 and older can get a vaccine to protect themselves against RSV. Kinney Drugs President John Marafa says RSV is a common respiratory virus. It tends to hit the very young and the very old the hardest.
We're noticing that elderly people, patients 60 plus, can really have dangerous complications from RSV.
RSV can cause coughing, sneezing, difficulty breathing, and high fever. Marafa says the new vaccine aims to protect seniors from dangerous infections. He spoke with Champlain Valley reporter Kara Chapman.
Can you talk about, the work that went into developing the RSV vaccine, and what did scientists do to make sure that it's safe?
With regards to all vaccines, I don't think RSV is any different. Every time a vaccine kind of comes to the new healthcare space, the FDA is responsible for examining all the data. They're required to look at the safety and efficacy of each vaccine. Manufacturers are not permitted to distribute a vaccine until the FDA releases it. And then the FDA has to review all of the manufacturer's test results that include sterility, purity, potency, and then they essentially perform confirmatory testing to make sure that the vaccine is doing what it's supposed to do.
And are there any side effects to watch out for that kind of came out of, those trials and that research?
The same side effects that happen with most vaccines. So some injection site redness, some pain at the injection site, some mild to moderate, headaches, but nothing major that's kind of alarming.
I've heard the vaccine is coming out in September. How can people get it once it's available?
What we're doing is on our kinneydrugs.com website, patients can go on and sign up kind of for information. So as information progresses, we will alert patients of it. Right now, what we're waiting for, the vaccine has been approved. There's 2 formulations out there of the vaccine. It is now permitted for pharmacists to give in New York State. So we'll start to see some uptick in people's responses. So the manufacturers, the distributors, everybody kind of coming together to make sure that the vaccine is widely available. The best course of action for anybody interested in getting the vaccine is to really spend some time on kinneydrugs.com and sign up for our health alerts, which would include information around RSV. and when the vaccine is available. One of the things, Kara, that we're not going to do is we're not going to open up appointments until we have vaccine in our possession, because we really want to make sure that we have it. And then as soon as we have it, we'll open appointments that same day, because it's still unknown yet as to when we will receive it.
I'm wondering, so with the vaccine rollout, is it mostly concentrated on pharmacies like Kinney, or can people also get it like through their healthcare provider or like local health departments?
It's really going to depend on the individual provider if they're going to be able to stock vaccine and actually administer the vaccine. I can tell you from a Kinney perspective and a pharmacy perspective, we will have this in every one of our Kinney drugs across New York and Vermont. I can't speak for the other providers out there.
And I know, because I've, been covering COVID the last few years, like when the first COVID vaccines kind of came onto the scene, the appointments booked up like that, like super quickly. So do you anticipate demand for the RSV vaccine is also going to be high, or is the word kind of still spreading about it?
I think that the education piece still needs to happen first, and then I think we'll start to see the vaccine appointments start to uptick and really get people vaccinated. And it really is going to depend on the season that we have, right? A lot of vaccines are seasonality based on, what's happening with flu. But I look at it from my perspective. If I were 60 plus, I don't know that I would take that chance when you have a vaccine that's available to protect you. So I think as soon as the vaccine is available, I do believe people that are eligible for the vaccine should go out there and get it.
Talking about, seasonal viruses and that kind of thing, we've had the flu shot for a very long time. The COVID vaccine is also on the list of recommended seasonal vaccines. Now we have RSV. So what are the recommendations for older adults as far as getting those 3 shots and maybe the order they get them or how they should kind of space them out?
The recommendation from all of the healthcare providers and the CDC and the FDA is really for everybody to get the 3 vaccines. So flu shot for sure, COVID, the new updated COVID vaccine, and then the RSV vaccine. As for, when to get them, the CDC has also stated that RSV is safe to get with other vaccines. The problem that I think people are going to face is, do they want to wait for the RSV vaccine to become available, or do they want to get their flu and COVID? It's all going to come down to a timing issue of when the individual patient wants to get their vaccine, but they are safe to get together.
Right. And Kinney is going to have like COVID and flu shots alongside RSV available.
Correct. Yep. We predominantly are expecting to see an influx in flu like we do every year, right? Flu has kind of been the standard vaccine, so we can anticipate and kind of plan for flu, and we think that RSV will come shortly behind that. And flu is available today. Flu shots are available today in all of our Kinneys, especially the high dose, which is the most preferred for elderly patients.
That was Kinney Drugs President John Marafa speaking with Champlain Valley reporter Kara Chapman.
You're listening to Northern Light right here on North Country Public Radio. It's 8 minutes past 8. Good morning. I'm Todd Moe.
And I'm Monica Sandreski. Coming up, reaching new audiences and artists are among the goals of the new director of Tawny in Canton. We'll talk with Joshua Vink coming up in just a few minutes right here on Northern Light.
Music by Mark Corey out of Watertown, and Mark's music is part of our Underscore project. You can listen to Mark's music and that of many other musicians from around our region on our website. Check it out at ncpr.org/underscore. Northern Light is supported by citizen advocates offering the North Country mental health, addiction, and housing services, plus crisis care, job training, and more. citizenadvocates.net/124. And Fisher, Bissett, Muldowney, and McCardle, attorneys and counselors at law with offices in Malone, Tupper Lake, and Saranac Lake. 800-941-5001.
The Adirondack Sports Council has hired a new executive director after former director Ashley Walden took the CEO position at the Olympic Regional Development Authority. New director Tracy Smith was the director of marketing for the 2023 FISU World University Games, which were held across the North Country last winter. In her new role, Smith will lead the Adirondack Sports Council's efforts to bring major sporting events to the region.
Amidst the ongoing nurse shortage, Canton Potsdam Hospital is now offering extra pay to nurses who pick up extra shifts on the medical and surgical floors. As WWNY News reported, the change was prompted by an incident at the hospital in August. According to CPH's nurses union, a nurse quit on the spot because her floor was understaffed and she felt patient care and her license could be at risk. Last week, the Nurses Union met with St. Lawrence Health. Management proposed the extra pay incentive for nurses to pick up shifts. The Nurses Union agreed to the incentive. Union spokesperson Susan Creighton-Quinnell told WWNY News that the extra pay will help immediately increase staff, but that the incentive is a short-term fix for the ongoing nursing shortage.
Federal housing officials have released 2024's fair market rent guidelines. They're about 12% higher than last year. That means people on low incomes will, with Section 8 housing vouchers, will be able to use them to pay for higher rents. In Watertown, the fair market rate for a two-bedroom apartment was raised by about $140, an 11% increase. In Glens Falls, it was 14% increase. The increases, about 12% nationwide, reflect inflation and rising rents. They were set by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, known as HUD. HUD Secretary Marcia Fudge said the updated fair market rents will, quote, ensure households can utilize vouchers at a competitive rental market.
North Country Public Health Departments are reminding us to be on the lookout for ticks. The Clinton County Health Department recently reported that it's recorded over 100 cases of tick-related illnesses this year and are on track to have more cases than last year. The department suggests daily tick checks covering skin and treating outdoor clothing with permethrin. Ticks are most commonly found in shady areas and in brush and tall grass.
And there's a new carved portrait in the New York State Capitol in Albany. Governor Kathy Hochul unveiled the stone bust of late Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg in August. From Albany, Karen DeWitt reports.
The stone carving of Ruth Bader Ginsburg is the first sculpted portrait to be added to the New York State Capitol's ornate four-story red sandstone staircase in 125 years. With illumination from the skylights casting a pink glow on the intricate carvings of the staircase, Hochul spoke on its steps during the unveiling ceremony.
There were no women when the initial carvings were done.
Carvings of 6 women were added when the Capitol was nearing completion in 1898, but Bader Ginsburg is the first woman to be enshrined in the upper-level section of the staircase galleries, which until now has featured only men. Hochul, who is New York's first female governor, says Bader Ginsburg did not have an easy journey to the nation's highest court. A Brooklyn native born to immigrant parents, she struggled to find employment after law school. In 1960, she was turned down for a clerkship with the U.S. Supreme Court because of her gender. Yet, Hochul says she persevered.
By force of her intellect and toughness that we love, she achieved history, not just to be the second woman appointed to the Supreme Court of the United States of America, but also the first Jewish woman on the Supreme Court. Now, she also is a model for some of us who are raising kids while balancing careers.
One of Bader Ginsburg's 2 children, Jane Ginsburg, now a professor at Columbia Law School, was also there. Professor Ginsburg said her family is honored by the portrait, and she credits the sculptor, Meredith Bergman. She's known for her statue of suffragists Sojourner Truth, Susan B. Anthony, and Elizabeth Cady Stanton in New York City's Central Park for accurately capturing one of her mother's key style elements,
including the resolution of technically challenging issues, such as which style of eyeglasses and how to represent them.
Bader Ginsburg is depicted with her trademark owl-like spectacles. She joins numerous other famous Americans depicted on the staircase, including Abraham Lincoln, Frederick Douglass, and poet Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Likenesses of the first 30 New York governors are also carved into the sandstone, as well as several presidents and numerous flora, fauna, and other symbols. Hochul says placing Bader Ginsburg's portrait in a prominent position sends a message.
To have her in a place where women could walk down and pause for a moment, and children can see and ask the questions like, why is she there? Who is this woman who did something so extraordinary that her image is emblazoned on this sandstone here in our Capitol?
The 6 other women portrayed are Revolutionary War soldier Molly Pitcher, abolitionist and author Harriet Beecher Stowe, Civil War nurses Clara Barton and Elmina Spencer, temperance crusader Frances Willard, and woman suffrage leader Susan B. Anthony. They are all depicted on a lower level of the staircase. In Albany, I'm Karen DeWitt.
You're listening to Northern Light here on North Country Public Radio. I'm Todd Moe.
And I'm Monica Sandreski. In just a minute, a conversation with Joshua Vink, the new Executive Director of Traditional Arts in upstate New York. Then stick around after the show for Bird Note coming up at 8:42. But first, Todd has a look at the weather for us.
Sunny and hot today and tomorrow, and then some rain possible on Thursday and Friday. It'll be a little cooler this weekend. And when I say cooler, I mean temperatures in the 70s for highs on Saturday and Sunday. But the next few days, we'll see afternoon highs in the upper 80s, near 90 for much of our region. Light winds out of the south-southwest. Clear skies today and tomorrow, and then about a 50-60% chance of showers starting on Thursday and Friday and possibly through the weekend. Highs, low 80s. Thursday and Friday, and 70s for highs on Saturday and Sunday. Right now, sunny, 69 degrees here in Canton.
The new director at Traditional Arts in upstate New York says he's ready to lead the arts and culture organization on the solid foundation built by his predecessors. Joshua Vink replaces Jill Bright, who served in several capacities, most recently as executive director during her 30-year career with Tawny. Vink, who lives in Potsdam, taught theater and arts management at SUNY Potsdam. He grew up in Albany, and his career has taken him to New York City, where he worked for 15 years as an arts administrator, educator, and artist. He's founding director of education at People's Theater Project in New York City, where he's worked mostly with low-income and immigrant communities. He's worked as an actor off Broadway and has a graduate degree in acting from the Shakespeare Theater Company.
I caught up with Joshua Vink last week to hear more about leading Tawny and continuing its mission of showcasing the traditions, heritage, and identity of our region. He's ready to reach out to new audiences.
Reaching young people is a really important thing that we'd like to develop, and really thinking about what are the contemporary ways that we use traditional art to intersect with new programs. So how do modern folks from diverse backgrounds connect with traditional ideas and practices and make new things? Is that traditional art? I think it is, because I think the root of who we are and what we identify with comes from our past. And so new manifestations of that work, I think, can be very appealing to young people, but also could be the new wave of work that the organization really embraces. So what that exactly means, we're still working on. But I do think things like storytelling, more of oral histories, which has a rich past as well, things like public programs that bring people together to do live events around dance and music and breaking pandemic habits could be a wonderful way to think about the contemporary ways that we interpret our traditions, and also at the same time really build new audiences for Tawny. And so I'm interested in thinking about listening first and foremost as a new director of an organization that has a history. So I'd like to do some focus groups. I'd like to hear from our community about what they want to see as well, and what's worked for them, what they've connected to, and how they see the organization moving forward as well, in addition to, of course, our wonderful board of directors.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting that Tawny is dealing with history and culture and art and all of that, right? I mean, it's not just art, or it's not just history. It's how they all connect and created this region.
Yeah, and I think there are folks that we can continue to engage with. We have a very wide geographic region. We have 14 counties that we work in, north of the Mohawk River. That's a really large amount of land and million-plus people.
Yeah.
So you think about Canton, you think about Potsdam. Sure, that's the central location for Tawny, but our geographic region is much wider, and there's a lot more to be had. There's a lot more, ethnicities, cultures, backgrounds that we need to continue to do research on, and that's what our predecessors have done, is to get out into the field, is to be good listeners, is to do that, folk research to unearth what those stories are, and then to find ways to exhibit them, promote them, perform them, what have you. And I think, I've gotten a chance to meet with the Akwesasne community, the Mohawk community, in my first few weeks. I'm very excited to engage in that community. There's strong Scottish heritage here. There's, a wonderful other heritages with quilt making in terms of the work that's happened, fiddlers and dulcimers and music makers. And we're having a meet and greet on the 22nd of September, where we'll have folks that can come to the center and meet me and staff and friends and supporters of Tawny. We've got Caramello playing live music. We'll have some refreshments, so I hope folks can come down and get a chance to be in the center. We really feel like this is a hub for arts and culture, and that hub has really great opportunities for not only ourselves as individuals and the heritage and the traditions that we embody, but also for other manifestations, other opportunities in our community, like building audiences, bringing in tourists, doing economic development, establishing a place where people want to come to Canton. People want to come to downtown Canton, even in the summer. And a lot of people come through Canton and Potsdam in the summer, but why can't we be a summer destination? Why can't we create a hub with the work that we do here at the center for people to come and see who we are, see who they are at the same time, but also to be able to drive important things that we need in the North Country, which is economic development. And I firmly believe, and I have a history in working with small towns to be able to build programs that bring in capital in terms of human capital and actual commerce capital from programs where people want to engage with the arts. And the way you do that is through audiences. You get folks to come to your region, enjoy arts and culture, spend a little money at the local businesses at the same time. They got to stay somewhere, they got to travel in, they got to eat somewhere. And those expenditures are really important. And I think we, as a community, can think about mixed ways of working with local businesses, working with your municipalities, and using the arts and culture as a centerpiece to drive economics and to drive engagement when it comes to tourism and community building. We can bring people here and we have so many great resources to rely upon to do so. Maybe it's not always in terms that you think about when it's a big urban area, right? But we do because we have each other, and because we have our traditions, and because we have great arts and culture here. And that's the way to celebrate who we are, and also to build toward the future, and to build toward a better community, and to build toward more vibrancy in the downtown.
Now, if only there was a way of working Shakespeare into ours.
I'm still thinking
you see that now?
Right?
Okay, I see the wheels turning. Yeah. Okay, now.
And of course, more comedies and histories.
Yeah,
Maybe
history.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think there's traditional work in there somewhere, right?
Joshua Vink is the new director at Traditional Arts in Upstate New York, Tawny, based in Canton. And again, you're invited to a meet and greet event at Tawny to say hello to Josh and the rest of the Tawny staff coming up on Friday, September 22nd. Music by the group Jam Crackers, the trio Jam Crackers, Dan Berggren, Peggy Lynn, Dan Duggan, and they've performed at Tawny in the past, and you can join them on Friday, September 15th, 7 o'clock at the theater at the Paul Smith's Vic. Jam Crackers performing some of their favorite tunes on Friday, September 15th, 7 p.m. at the theater at the Vic in Paul Smith's.
There's an event coming up this Saturday. Reminds me of so many of the themes that Joshua was just talking about. It's at the Iva Smith Memorial Gallery of Fine Art in Hammond. It's part of their Yellow Barn concert series. It's the Atkinson Family Band in concert. Music as history, as storytelling, music that resonates with universal experiences that unite us as a human family from a beloved local bluegrass family, the Atkinson family. That's at the Iva Smith Memorial Gallery as part of their Yellow Barn concert series in Hammond. That's this Saturday night from 7 to 9.
Yeah, we are media sponsor for this really great event happening this weekend, starting on Friday through Sunday in St. Lawrence County. It's called Local Foods Weekend, presented by Cornell Cooperative Extension of St. Lawrence County. As they say in their brochure, you can choose your own adventure at 30-plus locations across St. Lawrence County, from farm tours to tasting to kid-friendly events. There is a lot happening. There are meals. There are places you can visit where people grow, raise, sell, prepare food in St. Lawrence County. And we're media sponsor. You can find more information on our website, ncpr.org/calendar. It's a celebration, a weekend celebration of the rural food system in St. Lawrence County, presented by Cornell Cooperative Extension. Again, check our website for a complete calendar, a listing of all the events, all the venues, ncpr.org/calendar.
And don't forget to check out the exhibit currently on display at the Adirondack Artists Guild in Saranac Lake. It's called, oh, for Pete's Sake, the Bloomingdale Bog. It's paintings by Stephen Horn and photographs by Eleanor Sweeney. It's their artistic interpretations of the Bloomingdale Bog. The gallery is open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 5, 11 to 3 on Sundays. You can find out more from AdirondackArtistGuild.com.
Oh, for Pete's sake.
Yes.
Love that. And that's the show. That's the Northern Light for this Tuesday, September 5th.
Morning Edition does continue in just a couple of minutes. Coming up in about 15 minutes, we'll hear from Andy Coons, President and CEO of U.S. High School Rail Association, about the benefits of high-speed rail and why there aren't any high-speed rail systems in the U.S. That conversation coming up in about 15 minutes right here on North Country Public Radio. If you ever miss an episode of the show, never fear. You can listen back to the archive of Northern Light episodes any place you get your podcasts. While you're there, subscribe to our daily news roundup, Story of the Day, where you'll hear the biggest stories in our region and get the latest on the day's news. You can also listen live to that show every weekday afternoon at 5:48. You can also subscribe to our storytelling podcast, The Howl, right wherever you get your podcasts. Until tomorrow, I'm Monica Sandreski.
I'm Todd Moe. Thanks for listening. Be well.